Welcome to my channel Fazza Poems. Subscribe now. For years her name had lived only in the silence of his heart, unspoken, resting softly, like a secret prayer on his lips. He carried it in his poetry, hidden in symbols and metaphors, weaving it through stars and oceans, never daring to reveal it to the world. Her name was a treasure he guarded, a flame he feared might consume him if released. And yet the silence weighed heavier with every passing day, pressing against his chest like a tide refusing to retreat. To whisper her name felt impossible, for it would unravel every wall he had built, every mask he had worn. But one night, beneath the quiet gaze of the moon, the dam within him broke. His lips trembled, his voice fragile, and her name escaped into the night. Just a word, yet more powerful than thunder, softer than the desert wind, and eternal as the stars. And in that single moment, he knew everything would change. Her name lingered in the air, as if the universe itself had paused to listen. The stars seemed to lean closer. The wind carried it gently across the sands, and his heart, once bound by silence, felt free for the first time. The sound of her name filled him with both fear and relief, as though he had opened a door that could never again be closed. Every syllable carried years of longing, years of restraint, years of devotion hidden in shadows. To the world it was just a name, but to him it was destiny itself. His voice shook, not from weakness, but from the weight of truth finally revealed. For the first time love was no longer a secret within him. It was alive, spoken, breathing. He pressed his hand against his chest, feeling the rhythm of his heart, realizing that it had always been calling her. Speaking her name had given his love its voice, and now there was no return. He closed his eyes, listening to the echo of her name within his soul. It was as if her spirit answered, carried on the night air, filling the silence around him with warmth. Her name became a melody, a rhythm that matched the beating of his heart, a song only he could hear. The power of it shook him. How could a single word carry such weight? How could just her name feel like a lifetime of love unfold? He remembered the first time he had seen her, the way the world had stilled, the way time had bent around her presence. Her name had lived within him since that day, though he never dared to speak it. Now set free, it felt as though every star in the sky had been waiting for this moment. His love was no longer bound by silence. It was written across eternity, sealed by the truth of her name. Her name became prayer upon his lips, whispered again and again as though each breath needed her presence to survive. He wrote it into his verses, carving it into the rhythm of his poems, though he still cloaked it in metaphors for the world. To him, though, there was no disguise. The name was his truth, his anchor, his reason. Each repetition gave him strength, each whisper made him whole. He wondered if she felt it, if somewhere her heart stirred, sensing the invisible thread that connected them. Perhaps the wind carried his voice to her, perhaps the stars delivered his confession, or perhaps it remained a secret between him and the night. But even if she never knew, it was enough that he had spoken it. For the first time his soul felt free, his love no longer hidden, his truth no longer buried. Her name had become his eternity, spoken into existence beneath the stars. There was fear too, for he knew that names are powerful. To speak her name was to give life to a story he could not control, to awaken a love he could no longer silence. What if destiny was not kind? What if the world tried to tear it apart? These questions haunted him, yet they could not silence the relief he felt. The truth, once spoken, cannot be taken back, and he did not want it to be. For years he had carried the burden of silence. Now, even if the world never understood, he would carry the beauty of confession. Her name was not just sound, it was meaning, it was promise, it was surrender. With it he had given his heart away, unguarded, unshaken, unashamed. He realized that love is not meant to be hidden forever. There comes a time when the soul must speak, and when it does, even a single name can change everything. The night seemed brighter after her name was spoken, as though the stars themselves rejoiced in his confession. The moonlight shimmered like silver upon the sand, and the desert, once so vast and lonely, felt alive with presence. He whispered her name again, softly, carefully, as if cradling it in his hands. Each time, it became easier, flowing like water, natural as breath. He felt her closer as though her spirit had been waiting for this moment, as though she had always known. His silence had been a cage, but now, with her name alive upon his lips, he felt infinite. He understood that speaking her name was not just about love, it was about truth. For truth has its own rhythm, its own destiny, and once released, it reshapes the heart forever. And so, with trembling devotion, he continued to speak it, letting her name fill the night, like the stars that never fade. The days that followed felt different, touched by a quiet light. Though he never said her name aloud in the company of others, it was always on his lips in solitude, always carried in prayer. Every sunrise felt softer, every dusk more tender, for he knew he had broken the silence that had bound him for so long. His poems grew deeper, his verses fuller, as though his pen had been waiting for the release of that single word. And though the world did not know the source of his inspiration, they felt it. They felt the shift in his rhythm, the hidden glow of his. Her name had not only changed him, it had changed everything around him. The wind felt gentler, the stars brighter, even time itself seemed kinder. Such is the power of love, once spoken. It does not stay confined, but spreads, touches and transforms all it reaches. Sometimes in the stillness of night he imagined her hearing him. He wondered how she would react, if she knew that her name, spoken once, had carried the weight of his entire existence. Would she weep with tenderness? Would she smile with knowing? Or would she simply understand? Or perhaps her heart had always felt it too. These questions filled him, yet he did not fear them, for love is not defined by answers. It is defined by truth, and his truth was now alive, unshaken, undeniable. Even if she never knew, even if the world never heard, he had spoken it, and that was enough. For her name had transformed him, had freed him, had turned silence into song. In her name he found strength, in her name he found eternity. And so, beneath the stars he whispered it again, knowing that with each breath, destiny itself shifted. And so the story of Sheikh Hamdan's heart was written, not in grand declarations, but in the trembling power of a single name. For years, silence had held him captive, but one night, beneath the silver gaze of the moon, he set his truth free. With her name everything changed. The stars shone brighter, the world grew softer, and his soul found peace. Love no longer lived, only in silence. It had become spoken, alive, eternal. Though the world may never know her name, though it may remain hidden in poetry and prayer, its power will always be felt. For names are more than words. They are destiny, they are truth, they are love itself. And in the fragile moment when he finally spoke hers, the universe bore witness, to a vow no force could break. Her name became his eternity, his surrender, his forever, and with it he was no longer alone.